the mistake that started it. All the twin suns of Valora hung low in the violet sky, painting the crystal towers in gold and silver. The air shimmered with light and music. Alien dancers floated above glowing streets. It was the night of the Peace Festival, a celebration between humans and the Valorians after decades of cold silence. Eli Grant, Earth's ambassador, stood awkwardly among the crowd. He wasn't used to alien parties. He was a soldier once, not a diplomat. His black uniform looked too formal, too heavy. Around him, tall, blue-skinned Valorians glided gracefully, their eyes bright like stars. He smiled politely as alien nobles greeted him, but inside he was tense. This mission was too important. One wrong move and peace could shatter. Then suddenly, chaos. A shrill scream echoed from the upper balcony. A young Valorian woman slipped, her silver robe catching the wind. She fell from 20 feet high, straight toward the crowd. Eli didn't think. Instinct took over. He leapt forward and caught her before she hit the marble floor. The crowd gasped. The woman's golden eyes widened in shock. For a moment, their faces were close. Too close. Eli tried to steady her, but her soft, glowing lips brushed against his cheek, then his lips. A brief accidental kiss, silence fell. The music stopped. Dozens of alien eyes turned to them. Eli froze. I'm sorry, But before he could finish, a deep metallic voice thundered across the hall. By the law of bonded honor, the human has kissed the youngest daughter of the royal house. The young woman gasped. The guards raised their staffs and a glowing barrier formed around Eli and the girl. Eli blinked in confusion. Wait, what law? From the crowd, a tall figure approached. A woman dressed in radiant armor of glass and light. Her eyes were sharp, her voice cold. She is Lyra, the youngest of the 7 Starborn sisters, the warrior said. By our ancient law, a kiss shared before witnesses binds the soul. He must marry her, and by tradition he must also marry her 6 elder sisters. Eli's heart stopped. Wait, what? All 7? The audience erupted in whispers. The guards tightened their circle. Lyra, still trembling, spoke softly. It was an accident. He didn't mean, but the armored woman raised her hand. The law does not care for intent. The queen herself appeared at the top of the stairs. Her robe shimmered with living light, and her presence silenced everyone instantly. Her voice was calm, powerful, echoing across the hall. Bring the human to the royal court, she commanded. The council will decide his fate. As guards escorted Eli through golden halls, he tried to explain. It was a mistake. I just caught her, he said. One of the guards with cold silver eyes replied, On Valora, a kiss is sacred. It is not a gesture of chance. You touched the royal bond. The price must be paid. They entered a grand chamber filled with floating orbs and shining pillars. The 7 sisters stood in a line, each one different and terrifyingly beautiful. The eldest, Seren, stepped forward. Her hair was pure white, her gaze calm but sharp as a blade. So this is the human who kissed our youngest? She asked. Eli opened his mouth, but words failed. Serene's tone was half amused, half dangerous. Mother, the law is clear, but perhaps we should test his worth before binding our house to a creature of flesh. The queen nodded slowly. The bond of the 7 cannot be broken, yet we may see if the human spirit is strong enough to carry it. Eli frowned. What does that mean? Seren smiled faintly. It means, Earthman, that you are now part of our destiny, whether you like it or not. As the night deepened, Valora's twin moons rose above the horizon. Eli sat alone in a glowing cell of light. Outside, alien voices echoed through the hallways. He could see Lyra through the energy barrier, her face troubled, her eyes full of guilt. She whispered, I didn't mean for this to happen. I was only trying to thank you. Eli sighed. I know, but now they think I kissed you on purpose. Lyra looked down. Our laws are old. They bind even the unwilling. The bond cannot be undone. A long silence followed. Then Eli said quietly, Then maybe I'll find a way to change your laws. Lyra looked up, surprised by his confidence. You can't, even kings have failed. Eli gave a tired smile. Then it's about time a human tried. Outside the palace walls, unseen shadows moved. A figure cloaked in dark metal watched through a floating screen. The human has bonded with the royal bloodline, a voice hissed. If he survives, the sisters' powers will unite. We cannot allow that. The figure turned away as its eyes glowed red. Then let the trials begin. He will not live long enough to marry them. That night, thunder rolled over Valora's sky, though there were no clouds. Energy rippled through the air, a sign that destiny had shifted. In a single day, Eli Grant had arrived as a guest. Now he was a prisoner of alien law, bound to 7 powerful sisters he had never met. And somewhere deep inside the royal palace, something ancient had awakened. Something that had waited for this exact mistake to happen. The peace between Earth and Valora was about to face its first test. A kiss had started it all, but it was far from over. The Law of the 7 Sisters. The great crystal doors of the royal court opened with a sound like thunder. Inside, light flowed like water, silver rivers across the floor, glowing pillars reaching toward the ceiling where alien constellations shimmered in motion. Eli Grant stood between 2 royal guards, wrists bound in rings of soft energy. His boots echoed as they walked, and hundreds of Valorian nobles watched from the floating balconies above. Their eyes glowed faintly, whispering in their strange tongue. At the center of the chamber, the Queen of Valora waited. Her eyes were older than stars, her voice both beautiful and terrifying. "Human," she said, "you have kissed the youngest starborn princess. Do you know the law you have broken?" Eli's throat felt dry. "It was an accident. I was saving her life." The Queen's expression didn't change. "On Valora, life and soul are one. When you touch another's life, the bond is sealed. You did more. You gave her your breath, your lips, your promise, whether you meant it or not." Eli frowned. "That's not a promise where I come from." A wave of uneasy laughter moved through the room. Then silence. The eldest sister, Saran, stepped forward. She wore armor of white crystal that glowed with faint energy. Her voice was soft but dangerous. "Mother, the bond is clear, but tradition demands that he be judged worthy before the union can stand." The Queen nodded. "Yes, the law of the 7 sisters must be honored. To marry one, he must bind with all. And to bind with all, he must survive the trials." Eli's stomach twisted. "Trials? What kind of trials?" The Queen looked down from her throne. "The kind no human has ever passed." Guards led him to a glowing platform. The chamber shifted. The walls bent and folded like living glass, forming a new space, a massive arena. The air turned colder. Strange lights pulsed from the ground. Serene's voice echoed from above. "You will face 7 challenges. Each will test not your strength but your truth." Eli's heart raced. "I didn't sign up for this." The youngest sister, Lyra, stepped closer to her mother. "He doesn't deserve this. He didn't mean harm." The Queen raised her hand. "Then let him prove it." The first trial began. A flash of white light swallowed Eli. Suddenly he stood in the middle of a barren desert, though moments ago he'd been in the palace. The heat burned his face. In the distance, a shadow moved, a massive creature with crystal horns and burning eyes. A voice echoed in his head. It was one of the sisters. "Face your fear, human. Or die!" The beast charged. Eli ran. Sand exploded around him. The creature moved like lightning. He stumbled, rolled, grabbed a piece of broken crystal, and held it like a spear. "Come on, big guy," he muttered. The monster leapt. He dived sideways and threw the shard. It struck the creature's eye. The beast howled, crashing into the sand. Then everything dissolved. The desert vanished. He was back in the chamber, sweating, shaking, breathing hard. From the balcony, Seren watched him quietly. "He survived the first, barely." Eli glared up. "If that's your version of a warm-up, I'm done." But no one laughed. The second trial came without warning. The room went dark, pitch black. Then whispers filled his mind. Voices. His own voice, speaking his fears, his guilt, his memories. He saw his home. Earth. The war he had fought years ago. The faces of people he couldn't save. The voices whispered, "You don't belong here. You destroy everything you touch." Eli fell to his knees. "Get out of my head." Then another voice, soft, trembling, cut through the noise. "Lyra." "Eli, listen to me. The test is not real. Remember who you are." He opened his eyes. The darkness faded. The voices stopped. When he looked up, Lyra was staring at him through the glass barrier. Her eyes glowed with worry. The Queen said nothing, but her expression had changed. Slightly, hours passed. Trial after trial came. Fire, illusions, storms, gravity that bent sideways. Each time, Eli refused to give up. He didn't fight like a warrior. He fought like a human, clumsy, creative, stubborn. By the sixth trial, even the sisters began to whisper among themselves. He adapts. He feels pain but still stands. He is different. Only the last trial remained, the trial of truth. The queen rose from her throne. If you fail this, you will die. But if you pass, you will bear the bond of 7 souls. Eli wiped blood from his lip. Bring it on. The chamber darkened again. This time he saw the 7 sisters standing in a circle of light. Each of them glowed with raw energy. Together they formed a ring of power so bright it almost blinded him. The queen's voice echoed. To bond with them, you must give something no weapon can take, your truth. Eli took a step forward. My truth? I'm just a soldier who's tired of fighting. I came here for peace. And somehow I've started a war of hearts. For a moment, silence. Then light exploded, the energy wrapped around him. The sisters' powers touched his mind, searching, testing, connecting. When it ended, Eli fell to his knees. The queen watched in disbelief. The bond accepted him, she whispered. No human should have survived that. Seren looked down from the balcony. Perhaps he is not just human. As the energy faded, Lyra stepped closer, her voice soft. Eli, you passed. He looked up, half smiling. Good, because I'm not doing that again. But before he could breathe, a deep rumble shook the ground. The chamber lights flickered. From the shadows, a new voice spoke, cold and metallic. Then let him enjoy his victory. Before we take it away. The guards turned. A dark ship appeared above the palace. The sound of war horns filled the air. The queen's eyes widened. The Rift Order. They've come. And Eli realized his trials were only the beginning. The trials begin. The sky above Valora burned red. Flames glimmered in the clouds as alien warships broke through the atmosphere. The queen's palace shook, and the floor beneath Eli's feet cracked with light. The guards rushed toward the balcony, shouting in Valorian. The air was alive with panic. Eli stood at the center of the chaos, still weak from the trials. What's happening? Seren's voice was cold and sharp. They have come for you, human. The Rift Order wants the bond broken before it's complete. The who? The enemies of the crown, she said. They want the sisters' power for themselves. Before Eli could reply, the chamber walls rippled like water. A wave of blue energy spread from the queen's throne, sealing the palace in a glowing shield. The queen turned to Eli. Your trials are not over. They have only begun. Moments later, the queen's command echoed through the hall. Take him to the Starforge. If he is truly bonded, let him fight for Valora. Eli frowned. Wait, I'm not your soldier. But the guards were already moving. The floor split open, and a platform carried him downward into the depths of the planet. Dark tunnels twisted like veins. Strange light pulsed in the walls, alive and humming. At last, the platform stopped in a vast underground chamber, the Starforge. It looked like the heart of a dying sun, glowing metal rivers, floating platforms, and giant orbs of plasma spinning in the air. Lyra appeared beside him, stepping out of thin air. Her face was pale but determined. You must understand, Eli, she said softly. The trials were not just tests. They were preparation. The bond you formed with us, it made you something new. Eli stared at her. Knew how? Before she could answer, the walls trembled. Alarms screamed. From the darkness, shapes appeared, soldiers of the Rift Order, clad in black armor that shimmered like oil. Their leader stepped forward, a tall alien with burning red eyes and a voice like thunder. So this is the human, he said. The mistake that could unite the sisters. Kill him. Energy blasts filled the air. Eli dove behind a pillar as plasma bolts tore through the floor. His heart pounded. He had no weapon, no armor, no plan. Lyra, he shouted. A little help? She raised her hand when a burst of light erupted, forming a shimmering shield around them. Run to the Forge Core. You can use the bond. What bond? The one you carry in your heart. Not helping. Still he ran. The ground cracked beneath him as the soldiers chased. He reached the center of the chamber, a floating sphere of pure white energy. Something inside him pulsed, like a second heartbeat. His vision blurred. Then he heard their voices, the sisters, all 7 of them, whispering inside his mind. Eli, Focus. Let the bond guide you. We are with you. His hand touched the forge, and power exploded. White energy surged through his veins. His body glowed with golden lines. The plasma blast slowed in the air, freezing mid-flight. Eli looked down at his hands in shock. "What the hell?" Lyra's voice echoed in his head. "You accessed the Starborn link. You're connected to us now." He clenched his fists. "Then let's finish this." He moved faster than thought. Every step cracked the ground, every strike left trails of light. The Rift soldiers fired, but the bolts bounced off invisible shields. Eli's punch sent shockwaves that shattered armor. He wasn't human anymore, not completely. But the more he fought, the more the energy burned through him. The bond was too strong, too wild. His heartbeat was turning into thunder. Lyra shouted, "Stop! You're overloading." "I can't," he gasped, falling to one knee. "It's like fire in my blood." The leader of the Rift Order smiled darkly. "That power will destroy you, human. You were never meant to hold the bond." He raised his weapon, a black spear of pulsing light, and hurled it straight at Eli. Lyra screamed, "Eli!" Time slowed. Eli looked up. The spear was inches away. Then in a blinding flash, Seren appeared, teleporting between them. Her hand caught the spear mid-air. Energy rippled, throwing everyone back. Serene's armor cracked, glowing with heat. She turned to Eli, eyes blazing. "Now you understand. Power without control will consume you." She looked up at the Rift soldiers. "But control without heart is weakness." With a wave of her arm, a shockwave of white light filled the chamber, throwing the attackers into the walls. The ground shook violently, then silence. Eli struggled to stand. "You saved me." Seren looked down at him. "Don't mistake mercy for acceptance, human. You're still unworthy." Then she vanished. Lyra helped him up, her expression worried. "She doesn't hate you. She fears what you could become." Eli took a deep breath, staring at his glowing hands. "Maybe I should fear it too." The Queen's voice echoed through hidden speakers. "The attack is over, but the war has begun. Return to the throne room." Eli looked toward the tunnel. "And what happens now?" The Queen's reply came, cold and distant. "Now you begin the true trials. The trials of the heart." That night, Valora was silent. The sky glowed faintly with debris from fallen ships. The city had survived, but barely. In the royal tower, the Seven Sisters stood before a star map glowing with shifting light. Seren spoke first. "The human's bond grows faster than expected." "Too fast," Lyra said softly. "He saved me, and all of us." Serene's eyes narrowed. "Or doomed us all. If his bond continues to grow, the energy could tear our world apart." Far below, alone in the chamber, Eli sat by the window, staring at the twin moons. His hands still glowed faintly, veins of gold running beneath his skin. He whispered to himself, "I came here for peace. Now I'm part of something that could end everything." Outside, lightning flashed without clouds and no warning from the skies. The trials had only just begun. And this time, they would test not his strength, but his soul. The hidden enemy Valora had grown quiet. Too quiet. The warships in orbit were gone, the skies clear again. But silence had never felt so heavy. Something unseen lingered in the air. A pulse, a whisper, a shadow. Eli Grant couldn't sleep. He stood on the balcony of his chamber, watching the two moons drift apart in the black sky. His hand still carried faint golden veins from the Starforge, proof that the bond was still alive inside him. He remembered Seren's words. "Power without control will consume you." He wondered if she was right. Behind him, the door opened silently. Lyra stepped in, dressed in a soft white robe, her eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. "You can't rest either," she said. Eli shook his head. "Every time I close my eyes, I see that forge again. That power. It felt alive." Lyra hesitated. "It is alive. The bond connects your soul to ours and ours to Valora itself. That power is not just energy, it's the heart of our world." Eli frowned. "Then why does it feel like something's watching me through it?" Lyra looked away. "Because something is." Moments later, a deep alarm echoed through the palace, a low, trembling hum that made the walls vibrate. Eli turned sharply. "What now?" Lyra's eyes widened. "The Queen's chamber. It's been breached." Guards rushed past the hall. Eli followed without thinking, sprinting through glowing corridors. The palace, once calm and beautiful, now pulsed with red light. Energy shields rose across the halls. They reached the Queen's chambers and stopped. The door was open. Smoke drifted through the air. The Queen lay unconscious on the floor, her glowing crown shattered beside her. Serene knelt beside her mother, fury in her eyes. "Guards, seal the palace." "No one leaves." Eli stepped forward. "What happened?" Saren turned on him, her voice sharp as a blade. "You happened. Wherever you go, chaos follows." "Hey," he began, but stopped when he saw the symbol burned into the wall. A dark spiral made of red light. Lyra whispered, "That's the mark of the Rift Order." "But it's wrong. Too perfect. Too deliberate." Eli knelt beside the mark, his soldier's instincts kicking in. "This wasn't an attack from outside," he said quietly. "Someone inside the palace made this." Serene's eyes flashed. "You dare accuse us?" Eli stood. "I'm saying your enemy is closer than you think." Hours later, the palace was sealed. No one could enter or leave. The sisters gathered in the council chamber. 7 figures standing around a floating hologram of the palace. The Queen, weak but alive, rested in a healing pod nearby. Saren spoke first. "We have been infiltrated. Someone among us has betrayed the crown." Eli watched silently. Each sister looked tense, each with her own secret. He could feel the air thick with suspicion. One sister, Vera, the third eldest, uncrossed her arms. "This is pointless. The Rift Order would never enter the palace unseen. Only someone with royal access could bypass the wards." Serene's gaze shifted slowly from sister to sister. "Exactly," Lyra whispered. "You think one of us?" Serene cut her off. "I know one of us." The room fell silent. Eli felt his heartbeat quicken. "Hold on. Before you start pointing fingers, maybe you should look at the evidence." Serene gave him a cold look. "And what would a human know of our politics?" "Not much," he said. "But I know sabotage when I see it. The mark on the wall wasn't a weapon blast. It was a power signature made by one of you." The sisters exchanged uneasy looks. Then the lights flickered. Every hologram blinked off. The air grew colder. A distorted voice echoed through the chamber. "Clever human, but too late." A holographic figure appeared in the air, cloaked in dark armor, face hidden. The same red spiral glowed on his chest. Eli tensed. "Who are you?" the voice hissed. "The rightful heir of Valora. The Queen has ruled too long. The sisters' bond was never meant to exist. I will end it. Starting with you." The image turned toward Eli. Lyra shouted, "It's a projection!" "He's inside the palace network." Saren barked orders. "Cut the signal. Lock down the core." But before the guards could move, the hologram laughed, and the entire room exploded with red energy. Eli threw himself over Lyra as the blast ripped through the floor. They fell through collapsing platforms, tumbling into the dark levels below the palace. They landed hard in the ruins of an ancient chamber, one that looked older than the city itself. The walls were covered in alien writing, glowing faintly blue. Eli groaned, sitting up. "You okay?" Lyra nodded, brushing dust off her robe. "Yes, but where are we?" He looked around. The air smelled of metal and ozone. Some kind of old vault. Maybe part of the first palace. Lyra touched the wall. "No, this is older. This is pre-Valorian, built by the Starborn Ancients." Eli raised an eyebrow. "The what now?" She turned toward him, eyes wide. "The ones who created us and the bond. The ones who vanished long before your species was born." The chamber lights brightened as if sensing her voice. The floor symbols began to move, rearranging into a glowing circle. Eli stepped back. Lyra? Is that supposed to happen?" The circle opened, revealing a staircase leading down into light. Lyra's voice trembled. "No one has seen this place for thousands of years." Eli exhaled. "Then let's be the first." They descended together. The staircase ended in a massive underground hall filled with glass statues, 7 identical figures, each resembling one of the sisters. At the center stood a large crystalline pod. Inside it floated a faint golden light. Eli stepped closer. The light pulsed once, and spoke in a whisper that echoed in both their minds. "Welcome, bonded one. We have waited for your return." Lyra froze. "That's impossible." Eli frowned. "What is this?" The voice continued. "You carry the heart of the Starborn, the fragment that was lost. The Queen feared it. The sisters were never meant to control it. Only a human soul could balance it." Lyra turned pale. "Eli, this means you're not just connected to us. You're the key to the entire bond. He stared at the light, realization dawning, and fear. So that's why they attacked, he said quietly. They weren't after you. They were after me. High above, in the shadows of the ruined chamber, a dark figure watched them through a hovering drone. A cold smile curved beneath the helmet. Finally, the voice murmured. The key reveals itself. The drone blinked once, recording their every move, before vanishing into the darkness. The next trial would not be a test of strength, but of betrayal. The bond of trust, the air beneath Valora was cold and still. The golden light that had spoken to Eli was fading, its final words echoing in his mind. Only trust will unite the seven. He couldn't shake the feeling that every step forward was now being watched. Lyra walked beside him, her face pale but calm. We need to return to the surface. If the Queen learns what we found, she might what? Eli interrupted.
Hide it again?
Or destroy it? Lyra didn't answer. Her silence said enough. A broken throne back in the palace, chaos had turned to tension. The Queen had recovered but refused to speak of the attack. The sisters argued behind closed doors. Rumors spread like fire that Eli had awakened something ancient below the city. When Eli entered the royal hall, every pair of eyes turned toward him. Seren stood near the throne, her armor cracked from battle but her posture unshaken. You went into the forbidden vault, she said coldly. Without permission, Eli crossed his arms. Someone had to find answers while you were busy pointing fingers. Seren stepped closer. You think this is a game, human? You think our laws are chains? They protect us. Eli met her gaze. From what? The truth? The tension was thick. Even the guards hesitated to breathe. Finally, the Queen spoke. Her voice was weak, but her words cut through the silence. The truth, she said, is what destroyed the Starborn. And it may destroy us next. Eli frowned. Then maybe hiding it isn't saving your world. Maybe it's killing it. The gathering storm that night, the sisters gathered on the observation deck above the city. The stars of Valora glowed brighter than ever, reflected in their eyes. For the first time, all seven were together, but not united. Lyra spoke quietly. We can't win this if we keep fighting each other. Vera scoffed. You're naive. Trust is a human weakness. Eli stood nearby, watching them. No, he said softly. Trust is what keeps humans alive. It's not about being perfect. It's about believing in each other when everything's falling apart. Seren folded her arms. You speak of trust? Yet one of us is a traitor. Eli didn't look away. Then we find her together. That's the only way we survive this. For a moment, no one spoke. Then slowly, the second eldest sister, Kale, nodded. He's right. If the Rift Order is inside the palace, we need to stand as one. Lyra smiled faintly. Then maybe the bond can begin. The seven sisters extended their hands. For a heartbeat, light shimmered between them, and Eli felt a pulse inside his chest. The bond was strengthening, but far below, deep in the shadows, someone was watching. The disappearance, by morning, the palace was silent again. Too silent. Eli woke to the sound of alarms. Guards rushed past his room, shouting in Valorian. He ran to the hall and found Lyra waiting, fear in her eyes. It's Vera, she said. She's gone. What do you mean, gone? Vanished. Her energy signature disappeared from the palace sensors just before dawn. Eli clenched his fists. The Rift Order? Lyra nodded. Or the traitor within. Seren appeared, her expression grim. We found her communicator. It was left in the West Tower, right beside a rift sigil. Eli's eyes narrowed. That's too clean. Too perfect. Whoever did this wants you to think the Rift Order took her. Seren glared. Then who do you suggest did it? Eli hesitated, his mind racing. Someone with access to your chambers. Someone who knows your every move. The Queen entered then, leaning on her staff. Enough. We will not turn against each other. But her voice trembled, as if she already feared the truth. The search below, Eli and Lyra went searching through the old tunnels again. The deeper they went, the more the energy in the walls pulsed like a living heartbeat. Lyra whispered, I can feel Vera's aura. Faint, but it's down here. They reached an ancient chamber lit by red energy. A figure stood in the shadows, tall, armored, silent. Eli raised his weapon. Show yourself. The figure stepped forward when Eli's heart stopped. It was Vera, but her eyes glowed red. Her voice, calm and alien, sent chills down his spine. You shouldn't have come, Lyra gasped. Vara, what happened to you? Vara smiled faintly, but it wasn't her smile. The bond was never yours to control. It belongs to the one who created it. Behind her, holographic runes appeared in the air, symbols Eli had seen in the vault. The same golden light from before flickered, but now twisted into red. Eli whispered. They infected her. Vara's voice deepened. No, human. They freed me. The Rift Order is not your enemy. The true enemy sits upon the throne. Lyra's breath caught. You're lying. Am I? Vara's eyes flared. Ask your precious queen what she sacrificed to keep your powers weak. Ask her who she betrayed to create the bond. Eli stepped forward. Vara, listen. But she raised her hand, and the chamber exploded with light. The escape. When Eli opened his eyes, he was lying on the floor, ears ringing. The room was burning. Lyra was beside him, coughing. Vara was gone. Only her voice remained, echoing through the collapsing tunnels. Soon the truth will rise from the core. And when it does, you'll wish you never trusted her. Lyra grabbed Eli's hand. We have to go now! They ran through the falling tunnels, chased by walls of molten light. When they finally reached the surface, the palace was already in panic again. Seren met them halfway. Where is she? Eli caught his breath. Gone, but she's not dead. The Rift Order has her, or maybe she joined them. Seren's eyes darkened. Then we prepare for war. The fracture. That night, the Queen called an emergency council. The bond is unstable, she said. If one sister falls to corruption, the others will follow. Eli spoke up. Then we have to get her back. She's still your sister. Seren's voice was cold. If she returns as one of them, we'll have no choice but to end her. Eli slammed his hand on the table. You talk about duty, but what about faith? You said this bond means unity. Now's the time to prove it. The Queen stood, her eyes glowing. Faith is for those who still believe in mercy. I buried that long ago, Eli froze. What do you mean? Her gaze turned distant, haunted. Because I made the bond human. I forged it from blood and betrayal, and the one who helped me was never meant to return. A low rumble echoed beneath the palace. Lyra whispered, What's happening? The Queen looked up, horror in her eyes. The core, she said. It's waking up. Valora trembled as lights erupted from the ground, splitting the city sky with golden fire. Eli stared through the window as energy spiraled upward. What did you do? The Queen whispered, The bond isn't a gift. It's a cage, and now, it's breaking. War of Worlds Valora burned. The golden sky cracked open like shattered glass, and rivers of light poured down from the heavens. Towers that once glowed with peace now trembled with chaos. Every screen in the city flashed the same words, written in glowing red. The bond has broken. Eli stood on the palace balcony as explosions lit the horizon. The once beautiful world he had tried to protect was now collapsing under its own power. Lyra rushed to his side. Her eyes shimmered with fear. The energy from the core, it's spreading faster than we thought. The bond between us is tearing the planet apart. Eli clenched his fists. Where's the Queen? She's in the sanctum trying to contain it. But she won't last long. A deafening roar split the air. Through the glowing clouds, dozens of dark ships descended. The fleet of the Rift Order. Serene's voice echoed through the palace halls, steady and cold. They've come for the throne. And for him, Eli turned to her. You think I caused this? Serene's gaze hardened. You didn't cause it. You're fueling it. The human bond, your soul. It's the key to the core's awakening. Before Eli could answer, a blast hit the palace. The floor shook violently. Cracks spread across the marble like spiderwebs of light. Serene grabbed her weapon. If you want to survive, follow me. The fall of the palace. The sisters ran through collapsing corridors. Guards fought to hold off the invading Rift soldiers, their weapons flashing against the dark. Eli moved like he was back in combat, grabbing fallen rifles, firing cover shots, helping the wounded. He wasn't a hero. He was just trying to keep everyone alive. But as the fighting raged, he began to notice something strange. The energy beams that struck near him slowed, their light bending away. Lyra gasped. The bond is protecting you. Eli's eyes widened. Or it's protecting itself. Seren shouted, Keep moving. They burst into the throne room, only to stop cold. The queen stood before the shattered throne, her eyes glowing like suns. Golden energy poured from her hands into the air, forming a vast barrier that barely held the city together. "Mother," Lyra cried. The queen turned slowly, her face pale and lined with pain. "You must go." "Before it's too late," Eli stepped forward. "You said the bond was a cage. What did you mean?" Her voice trembled. "The bond was created to imprison something not meant to live again." Serene frowned. "What are you talking about?" The queen looked at Eli. Him. The human truth. The air froze. Eli stared at her. "What are you saying?" "When the ancients created Valora," the queen whispered, "they used the essence of a dying god. The bond was forged to contain its power. But one fragment escaped, cast into the stars." She looked at him, sorrow in her eyes. "You, Eli Grant." "Carry that fragment," Lyra's voice broke. "That's not possible." "It is," the queen said. "The reason the bond accepted him, the reason the core awakened, is because it recognized its missing piece." Eli felt the ground vanish beneath him. "So I'm not even human?" "You are human," she said softly. "But you carry what no human should, a spark of the starborn." The chamber shook again. The queen gasped, clutching her chest. "Go, get to the evacuation towers." Serene shouted. "No, we stay with you." The queen's voice rose, thunderous and final. "Go, or you'll all die with me." She raised her hands, summoning a blinding storm of light that hurled them out of the room. The doors sealed shut behind them. The battle for Valora outside, the city had turned into a war zone. The Rift Order ships hovered above the palace, raining plasma fire. Eli and the sisters ran through the streets as chaos unfolded. Civilians fled in every direction. The air smelled of ozone and burning metal. Seren activated her armor, wings of light spreading from her back. "Kale, cover the western tower." "Lyra with me." Eli shouted, "You can't fight all of them." Serene looked over her shoulder. "We don't have to. We just have to buy time for you to reach the core." "The core? It's where this ends," she said. "If you really are the starborn fragment, you can stabilize it. Or destroy it." Eli's stomach twisted. "What if I can't control it?" Seren gave a faint, fierce smile. "Then you'll die trying, just like the rest of us." The return of Vera as they neared the core tower, an explosion threw them back. Out of the smoke stepped Vera, her armor now pulsing red, her eyes empty. "Going somewhere," she said, her voice both familiar and alien. Lyra whispered, "Vera, please, you don't have to do this." Vera's smile was cruel. "You still don't understand, little sister. The Rift Order isn't our enemy. They're our liberators." "The Queen lied to all of us," Eli stepped forward. "They used you." "No," Vera said. "They showed me the truth. The Starborn were never gods. They were prisoners like us. And you," she pointed at Eli, "you're their key to freedom." Her weapon hummed with dark energy. Serene raised her sword. "Then we'll break that key before they take it." The battle was brutal. Light and shadow clashed in blinding waves. The sisters fought as one, their bond glowing faintly again. But Vera's power was unnatural, twisted, endless. When her strike hit Eli, he saw flashes, memories that weren't his. A world of golden towers, voices calling his name in a language he didn't know. Then darkness. The awakening Eli woke to silence. The ground was gone. He floated in a void of gold and black. A voice spoke, deep, ancient, and terrifyingly calm. "You've finally awakened, vessel." He looked around. "Who's there?" "I am the fragment you carry, the starborn you were meant to contain." Eli's heartbeat thundered. "You're inside me? Always. But now the cage is breaking. Let me out and I will save your world." "Save it? Or destroy it? What's the difference when both end in light?" He clenched his fists. "I'm not your puppet. You are my echo." Golden fire exploded from within him. His eyes glowed white. He screamed as power surged through his veins. The void shattered, and he fell back into the real world, the human who fought gods. He landed on the palace rooftop, surrounded by flames. The sister stood below, watching in shock. His skin was glowing like molten gold, eyes blazing with light. Serene whispered, "Eli?" He looked at his hands, light streaming from them like energy rivers. "I can feel everything. Every heartbeat on this planet." Lyra stepped closer. "You can stop it. You are the balance." The starborn voice whispered again inside him. "They will betray you. Let me end their pain. Eli gritted his teeth. No. You can't resist forever. Watch me. He raised his hand toward the sky, and the golden light spread outward, forming a massive shield that covered the entire city. The incoming rift fleet slammed into it and shattered. Every ship fell like burning comets. The energy cracked the clouds open. The whole world seemed to hold its breath. Then, silence. Eli collapsed, the glow fading. Lyra caught him before he hit the ground. His breathing was shallow. Seren knelt beside him. He saved us. Lyra looked at her sister. No, he saved everyone. Far above, among the ruins of the Rift flagship, Vera watched through the flames. He's only delaying the inevitable, she whispered. The Starborn will wake, and when they do, no world will survive. Her red eyes glowed brighter. Let him believe he's won. The next dawn rose over a broken but living Valora. The people called him the human star, but deep beneath the palace the core still pulsed, waiting. And somewhere inside Eli's soul, something ancient smiled. The final choice, the war was over. Or so they thought. Valora lay in ruins, cities cracked, skies bruised with gold and ash. The twin suns barely shone through the thick clouds. Eli Grant stood on the palace roof, the wind cutting through his torn clothes. The golden glow that once filled his veins had faded, leaving faint lines across his skin, like lightning scars. Below him, the people cheered his name, the human star. But Eli didn't feel like a hero. He felt hollow, because deep inside his chest something ancient still whispered, "You can't hold me forever, vessel." He stared at the burning horizon. Watch me try. The queen's secret, the palace was quiet. What remained of it? The sisters gathered in the shattered throne room. The golden floor cracked open to the planet's core below. Lyra sat beside Eli, her voice soft. The people believe you ended the war. Eli gave a bitter smile. That's the problem. It's not over. Seren entered, her armor blackened from battle. The queen is gone. Her body dissolved into light. But she left something for you. She handed him a small crystal, glowing faintly blue. It projected a holographic image of the queen's face, pale and calm. Eli Grant, if you are hearing this, then Valora still stands. I lied to protect my people. The bond was never just a prison for the Starborn. It was a choice. One final lock to keep our world safe. When the core awakens again, only one being may command it, you. But every choice has a cost. Save Valora and Earth will fall. Save Earth and Valora will die. This is the final law of the bond. The message ended. The crystal turned to dust, Lyra whispered. It can't be true. Serene shook her head slowly. It is. The bond cannot feed both worlds. It must choose one. Eli's hands trembled. So I have to decide. Who lives? The rift returns. Before anyone could answer, the palace lights flickered. The sky outside flashed crimson. Lyra ran to the balcony bar, her eyes widened in horror. Above the horizon, a new rift had opened. From it poured thousands of dark shapes, ships, drones, and something even worse, a massive sphere of energy pulsing like a heart. Eli recognized it instantly. The Rift Order. They're not retreating. Seren's tone was grim. No, they're summoning what's left of the Starborn. Lyra turned to Eli. If they complete the ritual, both worlds will burn. Eli nodded slowly. Then there's no choice left. We end this, now. Into the core, they descended into the heart of Valora, the core chamber, miles beneath the palace. The air shimmered like liquid gold. At the center floated a sphere of pure energy, beating like a giant heart. Eli felt it calling to him. Every pulse matched his heartbeat. Lyra placed her hand on his arm. Once you touch it, there's no turning back. He looked at her, a faint smile breaking through the fear. There never was. Seren raised her sword. We'll hold off the rift while you do what must be done. Eli nodded. If this works, tell Earth I tried. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. You don't have to do this alone. Eli stepped closer to the core. I'm not. You're all with me. The Starborn awakens. The air split open. Vara appeared. Her armor cracked, her eyes glowing with red fire. Behind her, rift soldiers poured in like shadows. Don't touch the core, she shouted. You'll kill us all. Eli faced her calmly. Then help me stop it. Vara shook her head. You still don't get it. The bond isn't meant to save, it's meant to reset. Once it activates, everything returns to the beginning. Eli frowned. What beginning? The beginning of the Starborn Age. The gods rise again and mortals vanish. Lyra gasped. That's why Mother created the law. To keep them asleep. Vara stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Please, Eli, don't let them use you. You're the last piece of the lock. Destroy yourself and both worlds live. Eli looked down at his glowing hands. He could feel it, the power stirring, waking, hungering. His body was the bridge between two worlds. If he destroyed himself, everything might survive. But Lyra's voice pulled him back. Eli, don't! There has to be another way. He smiled sadly. There's always another way. But never an easy one. The final choice, the ground trembled. The core brightened, so bright it hurt to look at. Eli stepped into the golden light. Energy wrapped around him, lifting him off the ground. His skin glowed white-hot. He heard both voices, the Starborn within and Lyra outside, calling to him, Release me, and I will restore your world. Eli, come back, please. His body burned, his soul splitting between two voices, two worlds. Earth. Valora. Both waiting for his choice. He saw flashes, memories of home, oceans and blue skies, laughter and war. Then visions of Valora, its people, its beauty, the seven sisters standing together beneath twin suns. He whispered, You both deserve to live. The Starborn voice laughed. Then you must become the bridge itself. I will. Eli spread his arms and screamed. Light erupted from his chest, flooding the entire chamber. The power split, half flowing toward the stars, half deep into the planet's core. The sisters shielded their eyes as the room exploded in gold. When the light faded, Eli was gone. The dawn of two-world silence fell. The core stabilized. Valora stopped shaking. The skies cleared and the twin suns rose once more. Lyra fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. He's gone. Serene placed a hand on her shoulder. No, he's everywhere. Outside, the golden rivers of energy flowed peacefully again. The people looked up, whispering prayers to the human star who had saved them. The echo months passed. Valora healed, but strange things began happening on Earth. Reports of golden storms, voices in the wind, and a faint shimmer in the night sky where no star had been before. Astronomers called it the bridge light. Lyra often stood beneath Valora's moons, staring toward that same star. Sometimes, when the wind was right, she could hear a faint voice. Still watching Lyra, she smiled through her tears. Always. And in the distance, across the cold void of space, a soft golden light flickered, pulsing like a heartbeat. Eli Grant wasn't gone. He had become the bond itself, the bridge between worlds. The whisper far beyond the galaxies, in the place where stars are born, something stirred. A shadow moved through the light. A voice as old as creation murmured, The vessel chose balance, foolish, but brave. Another voice answered, sharp and curious, Then let us test his balance. And somewhere in the depths of the universe, a new rift opened, silent, black, and waiting.